So, dear students, good afternoon to you. I welcome you in this class of soil fertility and nutrient management. Today, we are going to discuss phosphorus in soil. So, actually, any nutrient, whether it is phosphorus, potassium, nitrogen, you need to study it from three perspectives. One is nutrient in plant, means what is the role of that nutrient in plant, what are the deficiency symptoms, and how I can overcome the nutrient deficiency symptoms. So that suppose phosphorus in plant, potassium in plant, that means its role, its deficiency symptoms or excess, and how can I correct or how can I overcome the problem related to this nutrient. That is nutrient in plant. Then nutrient in soil. How a nutrient is behaving in soil, how it is getting mineralized, how it is getting solubilized, how it is moving to the root, and how it is going into the plant. And what is the concentration of nutrient, how concentration of nutrient in different parts of the soil, like soil solution, what proportion is on exchangeable side, how much is fixed, how much is organic. So such kind of information is covered under the subject phosphorus in soil. Then third one is phosphorus in fertilizer, or you can say phosphorus in manures or phosphorus sources. You can call it phosphorus sources. But phosphorus is specific because most of the time we want to supply phosphorus through inorganic sources. Phosphatic fertilizer are there. DAP is the most popular fertilizer these days after urea in India. So we deal with the fertilizer phosphorus. So I will cover only phosphorus in soil and phosphorus in fertilizers. So to learn the status, forms, and availability of phosphorus in soil, and this is some terminology. Inositol phosphate, this is the most important organic compound in the seed. When your seed germinates, this inositol phosphate is attacked by enzymes and it releases phosphorus for the germinating embryo or germinating seedling. A cyclic molecule with 6 hydroxyl groups forms the hydrophobic head group of membrane inositol phospholipids. Inositol phosphates are intracellular second messengers in eukaryotic cells. They are intracellular. And then phosphate potential. This is the availability potential of phosphorus. It is the chemical potential of the soil that indicate the availability of phosphorus in the soil. Phosphate fixation. We will deal in detail about phosphate fixation. The process of soluble ion. Soluble ion is H2PO4. Whenever you have sufficient quantity of the H2PO4, this is the preferred form of uptake of phosphorus. The easiest form to be taken up by the plant, preferred form by the plant. Rapidly reacting in soil to form insoluble phosphate is called phosphate fixation. You'll see in detail. Phosphorus pentoxide, this is P2O5. Normally, we express the concentration of phosphorus in the form of P2O5. Phosphoric anhydride, the chemical name of P2O5 is phosphoric anhydride, is a white, highly deliquescent solid that sublimes at 300 degrees centigrade and reacts violently with water to give orthophosphoric acid or phosphoric acid. So you can say this has a property of highly deliquescent. Highly deliquescent means a phenomenon when a substance absorbs moisture, it can take up the moisture, this pentoxide, from air and slowly and becomes liquid solution. So this can be converted into liquid. It can take moisture or water and it can be converted into orthophosphoric acid. Second property is that sublimation. Sublimation means when a solid directly converts into gas without converting into liquid. That is your sublimation, and then again it condenses to a solid. That is sublime. Sublimes at 300 degrees centigrade, it can be directly converted into gaseous form, and then it can again solidifies. Phospholipids are esters of glycerol and are similar in structure to fats. However, unlike fats, they contain only 2 fatty acids. 2 fatty acids. Now, phosphorus for plant growth, role in plant, I think you understand. I've already told you the deficiency symptoms, causes, reasons, everything. So adequate phosphorus is essential for photosynthesis, flowering, fruiting, maturation, and cell division. It has role, root growth, it has role, and also in biological nitrogen fixation. So now see phosphorus in soil, total phosphorus in soil. The total P content of soils is relatively low phosphorus, ranging from 500 to 10,000 kg phosphorus. This is in kg, phosphorus in the upper 50 centimeter of 1 hectare soil. In 1 hectare soil with 50 centimeter depth, the total quantity of phosphorus is 500 to 10,000 kilogram phosphorus. So here you can see the lower layer of soil is also included, but that is not the case for nitrogen and potassium. So what is there? Sometimes your lower layer beyond 25 centimeter can also contain some phosphorus. Sometimes that phosphorus may be equal to the surface layer, or sometimes that can be more than the surface layer, or sometimes it can be less than the surface layer. So P compounds commonly found in soils are mostly unavailable for plant uptake. You know, most of the phosphatic compounds or phosphate compounds are quite insoluble. They get easily fixed in the soil. So availability is a concern. When soluble phosphorus is added through fertilizers like single superphosphate and manures, it is fixed quickly. So it is changing to the unavailable form or fixation happens. Or you can call it retention of phosphate is low. Now, total phosphorus in soil is generally much less than total nitrogen or potassium. 1/10 to 1/4 of nitrogen, very small quantity, and 1/20th of the potassium available in soil. Total P in surface soils may be from few milligram to 1 gram. This is normal concentration of total phosphorus. Unlike nitrogen, phosphorus in subsoil may be less than, equal, or greater than. So total P, there may be two forms of phosphorus in soil. One is organic phosphorus, other is inorganic phosphorus. Like you have organic nitrogen and inorganic nitrogen. Now, before we go into the details of the phosphorus in soil, I want to explain you occluded phosphorus, because many times you will find this terminology. This is part of the terminology. So it will come here and there in this lecture or later also. So let us understand what is occluded phosphorus. So if iron or aluminum hydroxides, see, iron or aluminum hydroxides are precipitated on the surface of iron and aluminum phosphate. So actually what happens when you add water-soluble phosphatic fertilizer or water-soluble phosphate is added to the soil, it is immediately converted into iron and aluminum phosphate. And then these iron and aluminum phosphates can deposit this iron or aluminum hydroxide onto them. Okay, so it is occluded phosphorus. So if iron or aluminum hydroxides are precipitated on the surface of iron and aluminum phosphate, the phosphate becomes occluded, means it will be very, very slowly available. And it is also called as occluded secondary inorganic phosphate, means already the solubility of iron and aluminum phosphate was low, and again it has been covered or it has been coated by iron or aluminum hydroxide. So it is called as occluded phosphorus or occluded secondary inorganic phosphate. Now you see the phosphorus in soil, it is transformation in soil, how it transforms. So this is very simple, it is not very complicated here. You can see phosphorus in solution. This is H2PO4 mainly, or HPO4, and then it can come from organic sources. Labile organic phosphorus may be there, easily available organic phosphorus. It is in equilibrium with the soil solution, and this labile organic phosphorus can come from humus, stable humus. It can come, or it can also be part of the stable humus. And some living organism can also directly give labile organic phosphorus, or via attacking the stable humus phosphorus and making it labile organic phosphorus. And then see the inorganic kind of phosphorus, labile adsorbed phosphorus. This is exchangeable phosphorus, and then it can be converted into, this may be aluminum or iron or phosphates. They can be converted into occluded phosphorus. And then this labile adsorbed phosphorus is in equilibrium with solution. And then insoluble phosphorus compounds may also be there. And that can also become part of the occluded phosphorus. And this occluded phosphorus can also give you insoluble phosphorus. So you try to understand this cycle, self-explanatory. Now, we have seen in general, organic phosphorus is 50% and inorganic phosphorus is also 50% of the total phosphorus. However, the range will vary from one soil to another soil. These are very general values. If you forget anything, if somebody asks you, if you forget, then at least you can say, okay, it is 50-50. So inorganic phosphorus compounds of calcium dominate in alkaline soil, calcium phosphates, and compounds of iron and aluminum dominate in acidic soils, phosphates, iron and aluminum phosphates. Now you see, very interesting, this table I have taken from Brady book, Nature and Properties of Soil. Inorganic phosphorus containing compounds important for soils. In each group, the compounds are listed in order of increasing solubility. If you go from up to down, the solubility will increase. So first you see iron and aluminum compounds. One is iron phosphate, other is variscide, aluminum phosphate. So you see, the name is spengide and variscide for this. And then calcium compounds is fluorapatite, 3Ca3PO4 twice CaF2. This fluorine means the fluorapatite. They are found in rock. They are found in rocks or kind of rock phosphate. You can call it rock phosphate also. So fluorapatite is from rock phosphate. And in apatite, you have at least 10 calcium. And then carbonate apatite means if you have calcium carbonate bonded to the tricalcium phosphate, 3 molecules, then it is called as carboapatite. Then hydroxyapatite, CaOH2, hydroxyapatite. Easy to remember the names. CaO is your oxyapatite. And then tricalcium phosphate. So this is in the order of solubility. Calcium fluoride, this fluorapatite is most difficult to solubilize. And then in this order, solubility is increasing. Then oxyapatite, tricalcium phosphate, octacalcium phosphate, dicalcium phosphate, and monocalcium phosphate, and it goes on. And then magnesium compound like istruvite, NH4, MgPO4, 6H2. These compounds are also there in the soil. They are also found in the soil. And particularly these apatites are also part of the rocks, rock phosphate. They are called as rock phosphate. Now see, organic phosphorus found in plant residues, manures, microbial tissues. So these are the sources in plant residues of manures. You may have proteins also and microbial tissues. So soils low in organic matter may have only 3% of their total P as organic. Means soils which are very low in organic matter will have only 3% as total phosphorus as organic, but 97 will be inorganic. But high organic matter soils may have more than 50% of their total P as organic phosphorus. So organic phosphorus may be few milligram to 0.5 gram per kg. Or you can say the range is 20 to 80% total phosphorus may be organic. So it is not, and anywhere it is not fixed. Somewhere, if you have more of organic matter in soil, then organic P will dominate. If you have less of organic matter, then the inorganic P may dominate. Now we see forms of organic nitrogen in soil. Organic phosphorus in soil. Soil milligram per kg and percentage of the organic phosphorus. This is related to only organic phosphorus. So in organic phosphorus, you can see inositol phosphate. These are 3 important compounds of organic phosphorus in soil. So inositol phosphate dominates. It may be from 1.4 milligram per kg of ppm to 356 ppm. And percentage of total organic P, it can be 0.3 to 62%. Then nucleic acids may be 0.1, RNA, DNA may be from 0.1 to 97 ppm, and percentage-wise range can be 0.1 to 65% of the total organic P. Phospholipids 0.4 to 17 ppm and 0.03 to 5.4. You need not to remember these figures of values. This table suggests you that these are the important sources of phosphorus in soil. Names you can remember: inositol phosphate, nucleic acid, and phospholipids. Now, next question comes: what are the factors that affect the organic phosphorus content in soil? Organic, as I told you, it is mostly organic matter. More the organic matter, more is phosphorus. Less the organic matter, less is phosphorus. So any factors that will promote the accumulation of organic matter in soil will increase the phosphorus content in soil. So you can see climate, means climatic conditions where you have favorable organic matter deposition, you will have more organic phosphorus. Similarly, vegetation, soil texture, land use pattern, fertilizer practices or drainage practices. So you can try to understand. It's not possible to explain in detail everything, but you put your own thinking. How I can explain this organic phosphorus content in soil depends. Now coming to the what are important compounds in soil, how they are classified. So classification of phosphorus compound in soil, three major groups. So I suggest you to read phosphorus from Brady book. First you read from Brady book and then you can try Tisdale book. But first the friend should go to Brady book for phosphorus as well as potassium, because that is a starting point. That is for the layman. That is very simple. But if you want some more knowledge, advanced knowledge, if you want to know some numericals also, then you read phosphorus and potassium from Tisdale also. So better you read a chapter from the both. They are not overlapping kind of chapters. So in Brady book, it is very simplified form. In Tisdale book, it is bit advanced form. I won't say complicated. It is in advanced knowledge. So now you see classification of phosphorus compound in soils. Three groups are there. One is readily available phosphorus, which is solution phosphorus. So you know it may be HPO4 or H2PO4. Released from other forms or added in fertilizer material. So in soil solution, it can be contributed from exchangeable phosphorus or from organic phosphorus by mineralization. So soil solution can have organic sources or as well as inorganic sources, which is readily available P. This is readily available P. Other group is slowly available P. It is available but slowly, which is known as labile phosphorus. Labile P is slowly available. So it is actually fixed with iron, aluminum, and manganese phosphate, or in acid soils, and calcium or magnesium phosphate in alkaline soil. This is considered as a labile phosphorus, but freshly precipitated or held on surface of fine soil particles or clay particles. So freshly precipitated. But if it has become old or it has been occupied by hydroxides of aluminum or iron, then it will become very slowly available. So this is slowly available P. Then very slowly available phosphorus, which is called as non-labile, precipitates of iron, aluminum, and manganese and phosphates, aged. They are old, aged, and well crystallized, penetrate soil particles, and they become stable. It is your non-labile. The spelling is wrong here, labile. It is not labile. It is labile, L-A-B-I-L-E. Now see, very interesting figure. This figure, relative plant availability and extractability of inorganic phosphorus forms in soil. I have taken it from the Tisdale book. You can see the solution phosphorus. Solution phosphorus means H2PO4, HPO4. And it is also called as soluble phosphorus. The availability or extractability by soil test is very high to the plant. So this is the best phosphorus plant would love to have. And then number 2 comes your weakly adsorbed phosphorus. Weakly adsorbed phosphorus is your labile phosphorus, and its extractability is also high. And you can see availability is also high. Availability to the plant is also high. Third one is strongly adsorbed phosphorus. So it is not very much soluble. It is not very much slowly soluble. Strongly adsorbed phosphorus, and its extractability is also low, and its availability is also low. So these two, weakly adsorbed phosphorus and strongly adsorbed phosphorus, be adsorbed to clay and other mineral surfaces. These two, and then last one is mineral phosphorus and very strongly adsorbed P. So you are seeing two categories. Even the labile one has been divided into two, weakly adsorbed and strongly adsorbed. And this is non-labile. These are calcium, iron, aluminum phosphate minerals and very strongly adsorbed phosphorus. So availability is very low and their solubility is also low. So extractability or solubility suggests whether they are available or not. Faster the extraction or faster more the solubility means the availability is more. Now, cycle again, same kind of thing you have already seen. Soil solution, readily available pool. So they are in equilibrium. And in the last case also, you can see all these are in equilibrium. If solution P is deficient of H2PO4 or PO4, then they will come from here and they will come from here. And likewise, there can be fixation also. For fixation, you move from left to right. This is called as fixation. And availability, if you want to increase availability, then it goes from left to right. Right to left. Right to left means this way you will get increased availability. If you move from left to right, it is your fixation. So now you can see that it is also there. So I suggest you, I already told you, you see the phosphorus cycle in soil, consult the nature and properties of soil, page 671. Please read page 671 for details. It is not possible to explain here, but you try to understand yourself how this cycle of phosphorus in soil, phosphorus cycling in soil happens, how it comes in, how it goes out. These are the two things. And third important thing is how it is made available to the plant. In soil phosphorus cycle, you have only three things: where from it is coming, the sources, where it is going, the losses, and third one is that how it is being made available to the plant. So there are these three aspects, and in these three aspects, lot of biotic and abiotic interactions happen. You try to understand, it is very simple, and you can generalize. If you can generalize this cycle, then you can easily remember and easily explain this kind of cycle. So you need to remember the thing word by word, or you need to remember all these squares. If you can synthesize the knowledge, then you can express it in your own sign language, in your own pictures you can make, and you can answer those kind of things. Now, P in solution, how much phosphorus is in solution compared to other nutrients like nitrogen, sulfur, calcium. Concentration of phosphorus in soil solution is very low. It is 0.001 milligram per liter in very fertile soils to 1 milligram per liter in rich. Means your soil solution contains very smaller quantity of the available phosphorus. Phosphate ions like HPO4 2 minus and H2PO4 minus and soluble organic phosphorus compounds taken up by plants. So certain phosphorus is taken up by plants in soluble phosphorus forms. Like if you remember, phosphorus is also taken up by plant in the form of amino acids and soluble nitrogen compounds. Dissolved organic nitrogen, DON, SON, you understand. Similarly, part of phosphorus is also taken up by plant as organic phosphorus compounds. So besides iron, phosphorus is also taken up in organic form by the plants. The chemical species of phosphate ions in solution is decided by pH. There are three species: H2PO4 -1, HPO4 -2, PO4 minus 3. So in soil solution, it is in strongly acid soils like pH 4 to 5.5, monovalent ion H2PO4 dominate. Alkaline solution HPO4 minus 2 dominate. Both anions are important in near neutral soils. In near neutral soils, you will have equal amount of both, but plant will prefer at any pH. If you have H2PO4 more or H2PO4 is available, plant will first try to take up H2PO4. If it is exhausted, then plant will take HPO4. So both anions are important in near neutral soils. H2PO4 is thought to be slightly more easily taken up by plants. Besides low presence in the soil solution, phosphorus ions are also quite immobile in soil because they react strongly with compound and on the surface of the soil particles. Their movement in soil is very, very slow. If they move from one side to another side, they can be easily fixed by the means they are going themselves into the death trap. You can say they are going immediately. You must have seen that during night time in rainy season, if light is there, many insects will come and one chipkali or lizard will also come. And as soon as these insects come, it will eat them quickly. Similarly, if phosphorus starts moving or jumping in soil, it will be caught by aluminum and iron or calcium. So it will quickly be fixed. Both anions are important. Besides low presence in soil solution, phosphorus ions are also quite immobile in soil because they react strongly with compounds. The leaching losses are generally quite small. So this is important. Phosphorus is mainly lost by soil erosion or plant uptake. Very little quantity of phosphorus, very insignificant quantity of phosphorus is lost by leaching because already we have very less phosphorus in soil solution, and then it is immediately converted into iron phosphate or calcium phosphate, and then they are attracted by colloids or clay particles. They can remain there. So means they move a little. Very little phosphorus is available for leaching. Thus, leaching losses are generally quite small. See this picture you might have seen. Very interesting picture. You try to interpret, try to learn this picture. X-axis, you have soil pH starting from 0 to 14. And concentration on Y-axis means relative proportion of these three ions and phosphoric acid. So if you have acidic pH, say starting from 0 up to 2 or 3. So up to 3, you can find phosphoric acid. Phosphoric acid, and you can see phosphoric acid is maximum at 0 pH or around 0 pH. It is maximum. And as you move towards right, this phosphoric acid decreases. The proportion of phosphoric acid decreases. And then if you see H2PO4, this is decreasing, then your H2PO4 will try to start increasing. So it actually reaches maximum at around 3.5 or whatsoever it may be. You can have some idea. 3.8, you will have this highest concentration of H2PO4, which will continue up to this level. Say up to 6, it will continue. So you can see the almost 100% is occupied by H2PO4. At this point, you do not have much of the HPO4 and much of the S3PO4. But this enters here. This is here. You can see they are crossing here, HPO4 and H2PO4. So this pH may be 7.2. This pH may be 7.2. And then again, this HPO4 starts increasing at pH 6. So at pH 6, it starts increasing. You can see at 8 it reaches maximum. And then after 8 up to 12, you have mostly HPO4. And then phosphate, it starts at about 10 pH or later. 10 pH or later, it starts, and phosphate is there. This is iron. This is generally not taken by plants. It is mostly HPO4, which is available at pH up to pH 12. At pH 12, you can see they are equal in amount, this HPO4 and PO. So you can interpret yourself, try to learn this interpretation of the pictures or tables yourself. I just gave you a hint. Movement of phosphorus in soil. So soluble phosphorus, just now we discussed that it moves very little. Movement is there. That is why we suggest that phosphatic fertilizer should be placed near the seed or near the root, because it moves little and fixation is also more. So soluble phosphorus, either from fertilizer or natural weathering, reacts with clay, iron, and aluminum compounds in the soil and is converted readily to less available forms, which is called as phosphorus fixation. So because of phosphorus fixation, the movement of phosphorus is slow. Because of these fixation processes, phosphorus moves very little in the soil, less than 1 inch, or less than 1 inch means less than 2.5 centimeter. Thus, little soil phosphorus is lost by leaching. It will not move. This fixed residual phosphorus remain in rooting zone. It will not run away and will be slowly available to the succeeding crop. So sometimes there may be large accumulation of phosphate also. Now one trend has come in northwest plain zone of India where rice wheat dominate. Many farmers are using DAP in large amounts. Now it has been observed that their soils have very high levels of this phosphorus in soil. Now, crops seldom absorb more than 20% of fertilizer phosphorus. So phosphorus use efficiency of fertilizer P is hardly say, you can say 10 to 20% or 25%. Soil erosion and crop removal are the significant ways to lose phosphorus. It stays close to the place of origin, does not move much. Nearly all phosphorus in soil moves by diffusion. Diffusion depends on the soil moisture. Now you see the relative movement of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium. So you can see nitrogen moves, maximum movement is for nitrogen, followed by potassium is more moves in soil, mobile in soil. And third one is calcium and then phosphorus. So it is like this. Since the root of growing crops contact only 1 to 3% of the surface. This is important, means the root cannot explore the whole 100% volume of the soil. It is in the contact of the only 1-3% of the total soil in 15 to 20 centimeter depth. And soil must be adequately supplied with phosphorus to support optimum growth. The soil phosphorus level throughout the root zone should be high enough to ensure adequate available phosphorus. Adequate available phosphorus should be available at every growth stage of the plant. Means it has to be near the roots. If it is above the root, then it will not move and it will not reach the soil. So even some illiterate farmers I have seen, they broadcast the single superphosphate and diammonium phosphate. Broadcasting is done. So which is incorrect method. They should not do it. They should have placed it in the soil, or at least they should have applied before sowing of the crop, so that it could be mixed and it could have gone to the lower layer. All the placement is better, broadcasting is not good. The soil P. Now, friends, this is the last part of today's lecture, that is factors affecting P availability, or factors affecting retention of phosphorus, or factors affecting fixation of phosphorus. If you get 3 different questions, the answer will remain same. If I ask you, write down the factors affecting phosphorus availability, or if I ask you factors affecting phosphorus fixation, the answer will remain same. Because if you reduce the fixation, if you know the factor which is affecting fixation or which is increasing fixation, that will also means on one side it is increasing the fixation, on the other side it is increasing the availability. So availability and fixation are related, therefore the factor affecting is same. Similarly, factors affecting retention. Retention means it is in available form. how long you can keep your phosphorus in available form. So the answer for all these three problems will be the same. For example, soil pH, there are many factors like amount and type of clay, time and source of application of phosphatic fertilizer, soil aeration and compaction, soil moisture and temperature, phosphorus status of soil, type of crop, other nutrients means interaction with other nutrients, amount and decomposition of soil organic matter, and activities of soil microbes. So all these factors will affect phosphorus availability in soil. Or to be more simple, students can categorize these factors into four factors. For example, climatic factors. So in climatic factors, you can fit the factors like rainfall, temperature can be easily fixed. Then in crop factors, you can fit the rooting depth of the or root volume or factors related to the type of crop also. Some crops may be efficient user of phosphorus. Similarly, soil factors means all kind of your microbes are there in the soil, aeration, compaction, or soil related factors. And fertilizer here is just indicator. Fertilizer here is indicator of nutrient application from organic sources or inorganic sources, time of application rate, etc. So you can group these factors into four, or if you can remember them this way also, you can remember this way also. But you should know this is the most important part in, I can say, in phosphorus fertility to understand the factor affecting phosphorus availability. So if we start with pH, so pH affects the availability. You can see here, phosphate ions, I have already shown you this picture. You already have seen, and from this picture, you can extract and present data in this form also. So pH 10 or more, phosphate dominate, HPO4 divalent, 8.8 to 10, it is dominated by this, and HPO4 and H2PO4, they are almost in equal forms from 6.5 to 7.5, and H2PO4 from 4 to 6, and phosphoric acid less than 3. So you can see this is very important. In your quiz exam, you will find such kind of questions. And you can see how this soil pH is affecting the fixation. Please try to understand this picture very carefully. This is very, very important, and it explains you things how this pH is influencing the fixation of phosphorus or availability of phosphorus. On x-axis, you have soil pH. Y-axis, you have distribution of phosphorus, 0, 50, 100. Now you see at pH around 0 to 5, you get fixation by chemical fixation by soluble iron, aluminum, and manganese. So this is the proportion of the phosphorus. If you have very acidic pH, this may be around, say, 30% of total phosphorus, maybe, or maybe 25%, whatever is there is by chemical fixation in the form of soluble phosphorus, iron, and then it decreases. Proportion decreases. And when you move beyond 5 pH, then there will not be any fixation by iron, aluminum, and manganese as their phosphates. Then comes your fixation by hydrous oxide. This is very large fixation under acidic conditions. And it is also there in the basic pH conditions, but less than the acidic pH conditions. See the proportion. So fixation by hydrous oxides of iron, manganese, and aluminum. So oxides also fix phosphorus under acidic environment, but however, under basic pH or neutral pH, this proportion decreases. Now coming to the fixation mostly as calcium phosphate. It is in after pH 6, you can see it is getting very high. Most of the phosphorus in alkaline pH is fixed by calcium. And then reaction with silicate minerals. It starts with pH 5, and you can check the relative proportion here. And on the bottom, you see the relatively available phosphates. Initially, it is very less, and it is maximum during 6 to 7 pH. You can see 6 to 7 pH, you have the peak, the maximum availability of phosphorus, and then it decreases. So friends, this picture, understanding of this picture is very, very important for all of you. If you can understand the meaning and interpretation of this picture, you can easily explain things in your own words. try to make this picture, practice making this picture 2, 3 times, 4 times on the paper, and then you will succeed and you will know all the best relationship of phosphorus fixation in soil in relation to soil pH. Precipitation of phosphorus as slightly soluble calcium phosphate occurs in calcareous soils pH 8. Under acid conditions, it is with iron aluminum phosphate of low solubility. Solubility is there, but it is low solubility. Maximum availability of phosphate is from 6 to 7. This is on one of the beneficial effect of liming acid soils. So if your soils are having pH below 6, they must be limed. Maintaining a soil pH in this range, 6 to 7, also favors the presence of H2PO4 ions, which are more readily absorbed by the plant than HPO4-2, which occur at high pH value above 7. So you can see here, aluminum and this H2PO4, they can react to form aluminum phosphate, which is insoluble. Please try to remember these reactions. Try to remember these, practice them. If you get any question, and if you answer with some of the involving some chemistry and some reactions, some photos, some figures, some pictures, explain them, then it becomes very attractive answer and very good also. So you can remember this reaction, learn all the reactions possible. So H2PO4 ions will dissolve ferric, aluminum, and manganese ions to form insoluble hydroxyphosphate precipitates. So this is in acidic pH. In basic pH, you know it is in the form of monocalcium phosphate, H2PO4, and then in the presence of water, it reacts with calcium carbonate and dicalcium phosphate is made, which can further convert it to tricalcium phosphate. So availability will decrease. So please try to remember these reactions also. These are also important. You can practice these reactions and you should know these reactions. Fundamental, I can teach you fundamentals of this calcium, phosphorus. I will try to tell you something more on this. But there, if you know certain fundamentals of naming these compounds, if it is -1, -2, calcium is Ca2, Ca3, Ca4, 5, 8, 7. So some basic knowledge is there. If you know that, you can easily find nomenclature. So you can see how phosphorus is getting fixed if you do not get optimum pH. At optimum pH of 6 to 7, you have maximum availability. Beyond this, because of fixation, so you have seen that the pH is affecting fixation and it is also affecting the availability. Then amount and type of clay, you already have seen that clays have role. Clays has silicate minerals. They have role in the fixation. So their amount and their properties, type, will also affect the rate of fixation. So amount and type of clay, fine texture soils such as clay loam soils have a great phosphorus fixing capacity than sandy coarse texture soils. This is one if we see at the soil level. If we see at the clays level, some soils will have X kind of clay or kaolinite more, some will have more morillonite more. So that will affect the fixation also, the nature and the quantity of the clays. So clay of the 1:1 type, for example, kaolinite, have a greater phosphorus fixation capacity than the 2:1 type of clays, like Mont Morillonite, Elite, and Vermiculite. Therefore, you can see that in acidic soils, you will get more phosphorus availability. Soils formed under high rainfall and high temperature contain large amount of kaolinitic clays and therefore have a much greater fixing capacity for heat than soil containing the 2:1 type clays. So this fixation is sometimes boon also. It is boon also. Otherwise, one can lose it. One can lose the phosphorus by some other means. So sometimes it is good also. High temperature and high rainfall also increase the amount of iron and aluminum oxide in soil, high P fixation. So soil components responsible for phosphorus fixing capacity are in order of increasing extent and degree. I copied from Tisdale book. So 2:1 type clays, soil compaction responsible for phosphorus fixing capacity are in order of increasing extent. Means here you will get less fixation, here more fixation, more, and then most. So 2:1, and if you move from right to left, the rate of fixation will be less. If you move from left to right, rate of fixation will be more in kissing order. So 2:1, 1:1 clays, then carbonate crystals, crystalline aluminum, iron, manganese oxides, then amorphous aluminum, iron, and manganese oxides like allophane. Now, time and source of phosphorus application. Fixation of soil phosphorus increases with time of contact between soluble P and soil particle. More the time, more is the fixation. Consequently, more efficient utilization of fertilizer P is generally obtained by applying the fertilizer shortly before planting the crop. Do not apply 1 month before or as close as possible to the soil. Blending of fertilizer P for row crops is always useful. It reduces the fixation, increases the availability. Fixation of phosphorus from SSP and readily available P fertilizer will be proportionately greater as compared to rock phosphate. So it is simple. I discussed some other day also that soluble phosphatic fertilizer should be placed in the bands as narrow as possible in the soil, and rock phosphate should be broadcast applied. Soil temperature, aeration, moisture, compaction. These all are interrelated. You know, these properties are interrelated also. We can cover in one point. As aeration and moisture, they are related to each other. And temperature is influenced by aeration and moisture also. Compaction will influence your all the three: temperature, aeration, and moisture. So you can say these four things are having very close linkages to each other. So we can discuss them together also. Definitely this dry condition, the availability will decrease. Moisture, you need moisture for diffusion and accessing the roots. And if you get compacted soils, then the aeration will be reduced. So they are interrelated. So phosphorus absorption by plant is decreased by low soil temperature. If temperature is low, the absorption will be decreased and poor soil aeration. Excess soil moisture or compaction result reduces soil oxygen supply and decreases the ability of the plant roots to absorb soil P. Compaction reduces aeration and pore space in root zone, reduces phosphorus uptake and plant growth. And also, it will affect the microbial activity. Microbes are responsible for mineralization of organic phosphorus. Compaction also decreases the volume that plant roots penetrate, limiting their total access to the soil. Increasing moisture to optimum level make phosphorus more available to the plants. Phosphorus status of the soil. If your soils are inherently poor in phosphorus, the availability of phosphorus will be low. If they have more organic matter, more content, then they can provide more phosphorus. So simple to explain. So crop responses to fertilizer P will be greater and more frequent on soils testing low in P than on phosphorus high testing soils. Our yields on soils with high P soil test levels usually are higher. Response to P fertilizer on high testing soil is increasing, and it is important to maintain high soil phosphorus to support optimum crop production. Other nutrients, phosphorus interact with calcium. You have seen it was interacting with the iron depending upon pH, and it gets fixed. And with zinc, for example, you know phosphorus interaction. I have already discussed. If you have excess supply of zinc, it will reduce phosphorus supply and vice versa. So if you, however, this calcium application can be favorable. Calcium and phosphorus can have synergistic effect. If calcium is applied in the acidic soil, it will increase the phosphorus availability. Similarly, if you are having alkaline soils, if you add sulfur to the soil, it will interact positively with the phosphorus and it will increase the availability of the phosphorus. So you can see the interaction of nutrients many times is pH dependent. Application of sulfur often increases soil P availability in the neutral or basic soils. Excess zinc can affect P availability in alkaline soil. Certain crop factors also affect the zinc availability. Type of roots, whether tap or fibrous roots. Wheat has shallow root system, while lucerne So lucerne can utilize this better. Most plant species can be infected with AM fungi. They can increase the phosphorus availability and the uptake also. Mobilization is also improved. And soil organic matter and microbial activity are interrelated. More organic matter, more microbial activity, and then more availability of the phosphorus. So you can see here, organic phosphorus can be broken down by microbes. The process is mineralization, and you get it converted into available phosphorus. And it can be immobilized also. Immobilization can also happen. It can be going back to the organic phosphorus. But in both cases, whether it is mineralization or immobilization, the organic is converted microbially. With the help of microbes, it is having these reactions. However, this fixation is pH dependent, and you can see iron, aluminum, and calcium. This is inorganic. These are inorganic, and it can be fixed as iron, aluminum, or calcium phosphate. So this you can make very interesting, colorful picture like this. And in addition to supplying phosphorus, organic matter acts as a chelating agent. This is important because it will make humus, and humus can retain phosphorus in available form. So besides supplying phosphorus directly, organic matter has very important role because it acts as a chelating agent, and it will decrease the fixation of phosphorus. A heavy application of organic matter, however, like manures, green manures, to soils with high pH not only supplies phosphorus, but on decomposition provides acidic. So in alkaline soil, if you want to increase the availability of phosphorus, you can apply organic manure. It will release the phosphorus. And it is also beneficial in acidic soils, where it can act as a chelating agent. So organic matter is useful under both conditions, whether it is acidic or alkaline. Humus extracts from soil increase solubility of phosphorus by formation of phosphohumic complexes, which are more easily assimilated by the plants. Assimilated here means they can be directly taken up by the plant in the molecular forms. Anion replacement of phosphate by humate ions. The coating of sesquioxide particle by humus to form a protective cover and thus reduce the p-fixing capacity of soil. So really, it took a lot of time, this lecture, and I did it hurriedly. But if you have questions,